You're feeling frustrated with inconsistent productivity, aren't you? Wondering why you can't seem to match the pace of those successful entrepreneurs that you admire. And it's crushing your confidence, and you're haunted by this fear that your inconsistency will kind of kill your business before it even really takes off. So many people just throw in the towel because of this. And my clients tell me this all the time. They just seem to have the drive of those multi-millionaire entrepreneurs, but I think their inconsistency is the thing that's holding them back. They're afraid they're never really going to reach their full potential, and that others are maybe going to judge them, and they soon miss out on huge opportunities. Does any of this sound familiar? Well, inconsistent productivity is a problem I see in every single client, and I battled it myself throughout my entrepreneurial journey. But here's the plot twist for you: it's not actually a problem at all. What if instead of wishing for consistency, you felt empowered to succeed regardless of your productivity ups and downs? What if by the end of this video you knew exactly what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur, and that it had nothing to do with consistent productivity? I'm Phil Drinkwater, and I've been helping people with productivity for years as a coach. Inconsistent productivity is my bread and butter. I'm speaking about it every week, but most people are missing the big picture on it, so let's dive into it. First off, what is productivity? Well, for me, it's about impact, not the hours logged. A productive day is when I get important stuff done, not when I grind for 12 hours on random tasks. A lot of people are stuck in that 9 to 5 mentality, and that's part of the problem. They've not made this shift to entrepreneurial life. So inconsistent productivity is actually just a natural ebb and flow, whether it's over an hour, a day, a week, a month. You feel like you lack discipline and you'll never make it because of this, but it's the hustle culture that's got you hooked into this, and it's not really sustainable for most people. And as I said earlier, it's killing your self-esteem. But here's the secret. There is no actual secret to consistent productivity. You're unique, and that's okay. You might think it's a problem that you need to completely and 100% solve, but it's not. Your attitude towards the problem is the real issue. When we hit a productivity slump, we tend to beat ourselves up. Why can't I get it together when I was all over it last week? Well, maybe that's just how it is this week. It's especially tough for those of us who are ADHD, which, by the way, is about 50% of entrepreneurs. With ADHD, you're already kind of sensitive about your productivity just because of our lives, and might struggle with emotional regulation and stress as well. So when you think you're not productive enough, it can trigger some shame spirals. Let's think of productivity differently, like it's a hike. On flat ground, you're cruising along at 4 miles an hour. Downhill, you might hit a bit more, maybe 5, but uphill, you might slow to just 2 miles an hour. When you hit a sheer rock face, you might get the ropes out and crawl forwards up it at 0.1 miles an hour. That's inconsistent productivity in a nutshell, and it's totally normal. Would you beat yourself up on that hike for not maintaining 4 miles an hour up that rock face? Hope not. Most people would be just pretty happy to have got through it. You've got to recognize that everyone, and I mean everyone, is inconsistently productive. ADHD or not, every entrepreneur hits roadblocks that slow them down for a while. As I said, I've been inconsistently productive my whole life. 3 years ago, I was doing an SEO for clients. It was really easy for me, but I hated it, so I procrastinated like crazy. My productivity was in the gutter. Today, though, I'm really on it. There was the time I did my first public speaking gig. Even in areas that were nothing to do with public speaking, my productivity just tanked. I was so freaked out and emotional that everything screeched to a halt for about a month. I was only doing the bare minimum to keep my business going. And it sounds like a low point, but actually that productivity slump was totally fine. Why is that? Even though I was terrified of public speaking and hated my SEO business, they were still part of my journey. Couldn't get to where I wanted to go without facing those challenges. Putting other things on hold to tackle those hurdles was a necessary part of the overall process. And even with the SEO business that I hated so much, I learned a load about myself. That's still productive time. It wasn't the only time either. I was learning sales as a coach, doesn't come naturally to me at all. I went through the same thing for about 3 to 6 months. I felt like I was just slogging through quicksand. If you want to think of it in a different way, I go to the spa regularly at my gym and I spend hours there chilling in the steam room, but it's actually some of my most productive time because it's where I have my best business ideas. I let my brain wander and dream, which it does better when I've got my eyes closed, listening to some chill music in the heat versus just sitting at my desk looking at a blank piece of paper. Like I said, there's a million reasons for inconsistent productivity and a million different ways of seeing it. Be it's imposter syndrome keeping you from tackling certain tasks, or perfectionism paralyzing you with fear of failure. Some it's overthinking and anxiety, obsessing over all the ways things could go wrong. For others, it's avoiding vulnerability or discomfort. All over the place for all of us. For us ADHDers, we ride a productivity roller coaster very often because of boring, repetitive tasks. On the flip side, we can easily beat neurotypical people with creative problem solving. The point is, whatever your reason for inconsistent productivity, it's fine. We all got our own stuff that we win at as well. Focus on those things instead. So where does this idea come from that we need to be perfectly productive 24/7? Well, often from maybe entrepreneurs we look up to or some experts online. Truth is, we all go through it. They do too. Every single one of us. And businesses take forever to grow. Progress can feel frustratingly slow at times, but it's like that for us all. We're often shown the iceberg view of entrepreneurship. At the top, you see all this mind-blowing success, the millions made in mere months, but under the surface, there are years of blood, sweat, and tears that it took to get there. Struggles we'll never see, and often people don't talk about. Maybe that business owner you idolize spent a decade in corporate, learning the ropes. Maybe that famous YouTuber hustled for years, struggling in front of the camera, networking, attending seminars, reading up before they really figured out how to make it work for them. We all have a history of inconsistent productivity, but we're measuring ourselves against unrealistic standards based on this tip of the iceberg. It's taken me 4 years to get comfortable and confident doing YouTube videos like this. 4 years. Someone else might have nailed it in a month because they're natural on camera. They might have struggled with web design, SEO, coaching, which I breezed through. So how do we make peace with our inconsistent productivity? First, zoom out. Instead of obsessing over a single week, look at an entire year or your entire entrepreneurial journey so far. I could fixate on that month I spent public speaking and the spiral down of my thoughts that's going to come from that. But if I view my entire career, those low productivity periods really balance out with the times I went for it, when I found a creative solution that generated tens of thousands in passive income using just an hour's time. Zoomed out, it's a pretty consistent line, really. I'm actually quite consistent. Second, manage your expectations. In fact, delete them altogether. I know it sounds scary and maybe you're pushing yourself with them, but the fewer expectations you put on yourself, the less likely you are to quit when you inevitably fall short of them. Maybe you're clinging to this belief that if you don't make 10 sales next month, you've failed, when really the win is that you've created a product to sell in the first place. When I was in the middle of launching my new coaching program, I told my team I wanted to have it live by New Year's. It was a terrible call. I started judging my own productivity and got super critical about the downtimes. As soon as I let go of that arbitrary deadline, everything flowed more smoothly and we got excited about the quality of the work instead of stressing about the pace. And the third point, analyze what you're working on. Sometimes when we're slogging through quicksand, it's because we're doing the wrong work. I saw this with my SEO business. I just was avoiding the things that I needed to do like the plague. I was in the wrong field and I needed a change. Being responsible for someone else's business in that way was just soul crushing for me. Never wanted to actually make that business work. Couldn't see a light at the end of the tunnel that I wanted to get to. I was lying to myself like so many of us do when we're in the wrong lane. Convince ourselves we can force it even when every fiber of our being's screaming no to us. I had to ask myself, where is this business really heading? The answer was glaringly obvious: burnout and failure. So I bailed out of it, which was great. When I pivoted to coaching, I still hit periods of discomfort and low productivity, but the difference was knowing that I was on the right path. Challenges were necessary stepping stones to my goal, a goal that I wanted. When I first started YouTube, it was definitely an uphill battle. As I say, it's been 4 years, but I knew I wanted to make it work and I could see that light at the end of the tunnel. I wanted to get there. Key is to figure out why you're trudging uphill all the time. Maybe ask yourself, what's the writing on the wall for you in this business? It does take time to get to know yourself, your needs, your skills, your wants, and that's okay too. If you're doing work that ultimately aligns with you, accept that inconsistent productivity is just part of it. We'll have insane victories one week and slower stretches another, and both are fine. So when we think about productivity, we need to take a step back and see this big picture. Understand that inconsistency is just part of every successful entrepreneur's story, including mine. We need to ditch these unrealistic expectations. The more we accept ourselves and our work as it is, the more capable we become of achieving our business goals. When we do hit those slow spells, instead of comparing ourselves to some random YouTuber with his mind-blowing growth, we need to recognize that every step, fast or slow, is moving us towards a life and business we do want. The difference between an entrepreneur who makes it and one who doesn't is the successful one refuses to quit, no matter how long it takes and no matter how many times they need to divert. The moment we allow ourselves to believe we can do it, that's when we start moving forwards more consistently, inching forwards sometimes, but that still beats staying stuck. And even if you can't do something right now, tack on the word yet and it becomes I can't do it yet. Simple but really profound change in your mindset. So I'm going to leave you with a few coaching questions to mull over as you reflect on your own productivity highs and lows. How could embracing your natural work rhythm instead of fighting it transform your entrepreneurial journey? Secondly, if you rewind the clock back a decade, how have you really progressed? How has that journey led you here to this moment? Leave a comment below with your current productivity score out of 10 and how you feel about it. I'll catch you in the next video. If you enjoy this kind of real talk, hit the like button and subscribe for more. Catch you in the next video.